Hi everyone, I'm Ruben Enrique Bringas Alvarez. I'm PhD student from Federal University of ABC. My supervisor is the Professor Celso Shikahiro Nishi. The title of my research is Aligned Zee-Grimus-Neufeld Model for g-2 of mu. Let's talk about g-2. What is g-2? G-2 is a numerical value that relates the magnetic moment of a particle with the spin. What happens when we have a particle like a muon of electron immersed in this magnetic field is experiment something called Lamar precession. Analogy to this movement, as you can see, the precession movement. That happens because the particle have a spin, and this is the explanation for that. We can measure this Lamar precession and relate with this number with g minus 2 experimentally. Let's talk about quickly about that. The experiment is made in Fermilab and National Brookhaven Laboratory. The experiment is called E989. What happened when the muon arrived here? This is the storage ring. Inside of this ring, we have a magnetic field, and the muon is when it's immersed in this magnetic field comes to make this circular movement until the muon decay in a positron, and this positron is captured by the calorimeter, and we measure the frequency, the Lamar frequency. We can relate with g-2 and also compare to the theoretical value. For the theoretical value, we use quantum field theory. And when we use quantum field theory, we have contribution for g-2 that coming from quantum electrodynamics, from the electroweak sector, and from quantum chromodynamics. In this, we have the contribution that coming from hadronic vacuum polarization and hadronic light by light. And what happened? We have a white paper published in 2020, and we have this gray band is the value of the white paper that calculate the g-2, and this red band is the experimental value. As you can see, we have a discrepancy that is about 5 sigma, more or less. But what happened? We try to explain or to reduce this discrepancy, but because when we talk about 5 sigma or more, we figure out for new models to explain that. We suspicious about new models to explain in a better way. But we have an update, the white paper 2025 that use other methods. We don't the white paper don't use this dispersive method. You use something called lattice hadronic vacuum polarization. With these methods, the theoretical value is near to experimental, and we don't have any more discrepancy. That's something that happened. But if we use dispersive method, still exists a discrepancy, and we try to explain this discrepancy. This is a value for the discrepancy. It's more than 5 sigma, and that's something that we try to explain with our model. Additionally to this problem, g-2, that the standard model using dispersive method cannot explain the discrepancy value, we have also neutrino masses that's coming from neutrino oscillation. What I mean with neutrino oscillation, let me show you. This might explain better. We have 3 kinds of neutrino. Neutrino that coming from electron, that coming from tau, and then coming from mu. When we calculate, when we measure the probability propagation, this changes through the distance, and that's something that we don't expect. The only explanation to this is that we have a different mass square for neutrinos. As we know, for a standard model, neutrino does not have masses. But experimentally, we know because in 1988 was discovered in the Super Kayomi Kande experiment. Because of that, we have two orderings. Because we have the different mass square. We have the normal ordering and the inverse ordering, and we use both orders to for a new model that we implemented. Other thing we have to take into account is the tiny value of the neutrino masses. When we implement new models, we have to respect these experimental values, these tiny masses. Now, other thing that other challenge that we face is the Charge-Lepton flavor violation. In the standard model, we have Charge-Lepton flavor violation, but with a strong limit, almost impossible to observe. What I mean with Charge-Lepton flavor violation, when we have a process, for example, this a muon incoming, we expect to have a muon outgoing, but this is not the case. Here are chains of flavor, as you can see. The muon change to electron. That's something that we call the Charge-Lepton flavor relation. And the standard model is very strong limits, but when we implement new models, depending on the scale we use for new particles, we can observe, we expect arise these effects more strong than the standard model. That's something that we expected to happen. For example, for these limits, these breaking ratios, we have a current limit that we have to respect when we implement new models. These are the current limits, and these are the future limits in near future experiments. Now we talk about chiral enhancing contribution. You can see this is chiral enhancer because we have the change of chirality. When we use new models, an extension of standard model, to correct g-2, we need to use this kind of contribution that uses the new particles that we add in our model, but a low scale, the necessary to correct the discrepancy. If we cannot use too much heavy particles for this, and this is necessary because we have here new couplings that we use to correct the discrepancy. Now we talk about the particle content. In the paper published this year, we use this model. We additionate one Higgs doublet, and we use two Higgs double model. We also additionate one single charged scalar singlet and one right-handed neutrino. The reason to add these new particles is to use a mechanism to generate neutrino masses. For example, we use right-handed neutrino and two Higgs double model to use the mechanism, call it Zee-Grimus-Neufeld mechanism. That is a one loop. That have a one loop contribution to the neutrino masses. The same is for the singlet charged scalar singlet, this particle. We additionate this particle to use this mechanism. And the right-hand neutrino is used in the three-level seesaw and the Zee-Grimus-Neufeld mechanism. When we combine this mechanism, we generate the masses for neutrino. And we don't only generate neutrino masses. Other advantage to combine this mechanism is to use low-scale particles. We don't need to use too heavy particles, and the advantage to this is that we can correct the discrepancy. Okay, as you can see, this is the one loop Zee-Grimus-Neufeld diagram is a low contribution for the neutrino masses. This have here the right-handed neutrino and the contribution of the of hits. For the C mechanism is also a one loop diagram. We have here in the loop the contribution of the particle singlet charger scalar singlet. Also to the hits the lepton. And why we call it alignment Zee-Grimus-Neufeld for g-2? Because when we add this second hit and also the right-handed neutrino, we have this scenario, this contribution for the Lagrangian, these interactions. If you can see in this part, these two couplings, to avoid flavor change in neutral currents, we choose this alignment. And this coupling is aligned to this, and we can avoid this problem. And also we can diagonalize and have the mass matrix in this case. What happened with this other interaction? In this other interaction, we have two possible scenarios: the alignment case and the non-alignment case. What happens if we choose the alignment case? If we choose the alignment case, we have this relation, and this relation coming from the neutrino mass matrix. When we adjust the P-S matrix, we get this relation. The problem is that in the alignment case, when we calculate, for example, the Bayesian ratio tau to mu gamma, it's approximately 5 to 10 to minus 7. But the problem is this value strongly violates the current experimental bounds. So it's about 4.2 10 to minus 8. And that's the reason because we exclude this alignment case. And now we have to go to the other case, the no alignment case. Then when we go to the no alignment case, we have more options to choose. In this case, we don't have this relation, lambda tau and lambda mu. We use this form for the lambda 2 that we call it muon field. Something similar happened to the F, and the F is a coupling that comes from right-handed neutrino, right-handed lepton, and the target scalar singlet that we add to get the C mechanism. Then with this structure we choose this form because we don't to suppress some dangerous values for charge electron favorable violation that we try to avoid. What happened in this non-aligning case, we figure out for the best scenario to solve all that we need. As a result, is something that we do. We found this benchmark where this gamma is an angle of rotation that we use to get S1 and S2. This S1 and S2 coming from the target singlet scalar and come from the target that is in the second hit. This Mn is the right-handed neutrino that we use, and this Nh and Na coming from the hits. And now with this benchmark, we able to solve all that we need. The g-2, we able to correct the value, the discrepancy of g-2, as you can see. Where this gray band is the value plus sigma minus sigma of g-2. That's something that we want to achieve. This red line is something that we call it chiral enhanced and have the bigger contribution, and something that we want to achieve. The other line have less contribution, but it's enough with this chiral enhanced. And we solve this g-2 at the same time we generate the neutrino masses, but we generate the neutrino masses respecting the experimental value. At the same time we do that, we able to respect all the breaching ratios that we need, as you can see in this graphic, where this is something that we call deviation, and these are related with other coupling, and this rectangle, gray rectangle, is a solution of the Cabibbo anomaly angle. If we fix it, for example, this black curve that is the breaching ratio for tau to electron mu, we have to choose some value that is in this gray rectangle, and the same for the magenta breaching ratio, that is tau to electron mu. And this orange line has a value that's come from neutrino masses, and we have to choose something in the middle of these two orange lines. Okay, additionally to this, to solve g-2, generate neutrino masses, also respect all the breaching ratios, have consistency with Cabibbo anomaly angle, we able to solve the W mass deviation that is found in CDF. And as a conclusion, we present a minimal extension of a standard model that solve not only g-2, solve the Cabibbo anomaly angle, we have consistency with that, explain the W mass deviation found in CDF, also is consistent with all the constraints that come from target lepton flavor violation, and also generate the neutrino mass with consistency with experimental value. And we do all these at low scale. There's something that we need to correct the g-2. Okay, but these particles maybe could be targets for collider, for experiments in colliders. And that is all that we talk about this opportunity. Thank you so much for your attention.